Hello friends, hope you're doing well. Welcome back to part 5 of the Go Agile series. So in the last part we reviewed Agile umbrella and the different frameworks that are generally categorized under the Agile umbrella. Just wanted to clarify, it's just not limited to those frameworks we saw, but it's just a representation of some of the Agile frameworks. So Kanban was one such framework we looked as part of the Go Agile 4. Now in this session we will review Kanban in a more detailed way. Reason I'm doing this first is because after this we will look at Scrum, and then from there we can proceed further beyond Scrum, which will be logical. You will be surprised that Kanban has a rich history associated to it. Back in 16th or 17th century in Japan, after a lot of troubles and conflicts, Japan started seeing some stability and economic growth. As it started growing, the streets of Japanese towns started getting crowded with shops and small businesses. So a lot of competition started. Shops were trying to attract customers, and that's where they started using these signboards. That signboard in Japanese is nothing but called Kanban. Kan means sign and ban means a board. Interesting, right? As it picked up, then they started improvising these boards with what they offer, what products they have, their specialties, and so on. Some even started designer Kanbans, like if someone has a music shop, put a musical instrument shaped board. If someone sells fish, put a fish shaped signboard, and so on. So many type of these signboards started appearing in the market. But all these had one thing in common. They were able to communicate the offering or product or service very clearly and concisely. Now fast forward. In 1940s, Toyota, the car manufacturer, is not like what it is today. They were in losses, struggling to compete with American cars, and a bit lost in the market. They had a young and dynamic engineer by name Taiichi Ono. He started to bring a lot of changes. One thing he started socializing is that in normal production routine, there are so many things we do which are not required, and he started calling it waste. He came up with 7 ways, which are overproduction, inventory, delay or waiting time, overprocessing, transportation, unnecessary motion, and defects in the product. So let's review quickly each one of these. Overproduction. He says demands keep changing. So what's the point in producing more than what they can handle at a given time? And it also has chain effect. So producing more than what is required is a waste. Inventory. Carrying surplus raw materials is a waste. His idea is keep only just the right quantities at that given time. His idea is produce what is just needed and only when it's needed. So this ensured that stocks are carried at the minimum while making sure a smooth flow of work is established. So sometime in 50s, Taiichi wanted to find out what is that they are doing different in the US and made a visit. But in his visit, he observed something interesting in a grocery store. He was very impressed by how they are able to keep the shelves stocked up with just the right amount of each product. When the items are about to finish in a bin, they place some yellow colored or some card to indicate that the stock is likely to get over, and which is like heads up. Accordingly, they order more inventory, and at the end of the bin, they keep some red card or something to indicate that it's completely over. So he used the same concepts back in Toyota. And number 3 is delay. Waiting or time spent in a queue with no value being added is also a waste. So in production line, there are many instances where the supplies line up in queue to be used, and that serves no purpose because you need them only when you use them. That idling time is a waste. Next is overprocessing. So undertaking non-value added activity. Processes are ineffective and time is wasted when one process waits to begin while another finishes. Instead, the flow of operations should be smooth and continuous and probably parallel. According to some estimates, as much as 99% of a product's time in manufacture is actually spent in waiting. The next is transportation. So he thinks transportation also is a waste. Moving a product between manufacturing processes adds no value. It's expensive and can cause damage or product deterioration. These are things like, for example, you dump the stuff at one place, and then from there you move to another place, and finally you bring to some other place where it's actually used in the production line. Then unnecessary motion. Resources are wasted when workers have to bend, reach, or walk distances to do their jobs. Imagine a worker needs a particular type of wrench for a certain task. Now, if he has to walk for few meters because it's in the shelf there, that is an unnecessary waste of energy. Rather, if he kept the tool in his pocket or something, he can avoid that extra movement. Defects in the product is another waste. The more you spend in inspecting the product for defects, it takes more time and costs money. He used all these 7 ways and came up with a new system based on Kanban. He did many things as part of it, like he introduced paper cards for signaling and tracking the demand in the factory, and it revolutionized the entire production system at Toyota that the company almost rose from operating losses to a profitable global competitor. That is the famous Toyota production system based on Kanban, and Taiichi Ono became to be known as father of the Toyota production system. So far, we looked at the birth of Kanban and how it got adopted at Toyota production system. Next, we need to see how this Kanban found its way into IT. So over time, the Toyota production system gained a lot of popularity globally. And so project managers all across started trying it in different flavors. But the biggest breakthrough came in software industry, and how it happened and what's that story we will see in the next session of Go Agile Part 6. Till then, do good, wash your hands and stay safe. See ya.